Shalom. I hope you all are doing well. I'm blessed and I'm back again with a quick video. I think it's kind of funny how most pastors teach that this is the end, but they never tell you that it's also the beginning. We see the end happening. We know that the kingdoms are collapsing. We're seeing the judgments and the signs in the heavens, but we never get taught about the end not just being the ending, but it also being the beginning. And in these prophetic times, the end and the beginning are happening at the same time, simultaneously. While Babylon is falling, Zion is rising. While the systems of this world crumble, the kingdom of Yahuwah is being restored. And this is not just destruction, it is divine transition. It is the great shift. We must not forget that Yahuwah is not bound by time like man. From the very beginning, he declared the end. In Isaiah 46:10 it reads, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times, the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. This means that the Creator is outside of time, seeing and orchestrating the end, even as he plants the seeds of the beginning. The great shift that we are witnessing is the collapse of man-made empires and systems, while simultaneously the spiritual kingdom of Yah is rising, and what many perceive as global chaos is not simply destruction, it is transition. It is birth and burial occurring at once. The death of Babylon is also the birth of Zion. The duality is consistent with biblical prophecy. In Revelations we see the fall of the whore that sit upon many waters, while in the same breath the bride is being prepared. The shaking of the heavens and the earth foretold in Haggai 2:6-7 is not just to destroy, but to realign. Let's read it. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, yet once it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth, and the sea and the dry land, and I will shake all nations, and the desire of all nations shall come, and I will fill this house with glory, said Yahuwah of hosts. Yahuwah is shifting power, exposing lies and calling his people out of confusion. This is a return to covenant, to true identity, to ancient paths. As it was in the beginning, when Yahuwah created order from chaos, so it is in the end, where he brings his remnant out of spiritual Egypt and gathers us again as in the days of old. What we see unraveling now is not just chaos, it's a prophetic pattern repeating itself. The same way that the Exodus marked both the end of Egypt's power and the beginning of Israel's journey to covenant, so it is today. The seals are opening, the remnant is awakening, and those who are watching with spiritual eyes can see it. We are standing in the overlap of the last breath of the kingdoms of men and the first steps into the reign of righteousness. What looks like death to the world is birth for the chosen. This is because the beginning and the end are happening at the same time. What seems like collapse is actually the great shift. Yah is ending the kingdoms of man while beginning the rise of his own. Judgment and restoration are moving together. As Babylon falls, Zion awakens. This is not just the end, it's the beginning of the reign of righteousness. We're living in a time where the boundaries of time itself seems to blur. A prophetic era where the beginning and the end unfold simultaneously. You see, this moment in history mirrors the Exodus. As the 10 plagues fell on Egypt, a new nation was birthed through tribulations. The firstborn of Pharaoh died, but the firstborn of Israel was spared and called out. So it is today. The judgments that we see are not random. They are strategic, intentional, and prophetic. Yah is making a clear distinction between those who serve him and those who do not. Let's take a look at Malachi 3:16-18. It reads, Then they that feared Yahuwah spake often one to another, and Yahuwah listened and heard it, and a book of remembrance was written before him for them that feared Yahuwah, and that thought upon his name. And they shall be mine, said Yahuwah of hosts, in that day when I make up my jewels, and I will spare them, as a man spare his own son that serve him. Then shall ye return and discern between the righteous and the wicked, between him that serve Elohim and him that serve him not. You see, the wheat and the tares are growing together, but the harvest is near. The time of separation has begun. In the midst of this great shift, we are called to discern the times. Yahushua warned in Matthew 24 that the end would be like the days of Noah, people distracted and unaware of the impending flood. But those who walk in the Ruach, the Holy Spirit, will recognize the signs, the rising of false systems, the wars, the violent and sudden change, and the spiritual awakening of the true Israelites across the earth. But Judah must awaken first. We've talked about this before. Because it is written in Genesis 49:10, the scepter shall not depart from Judah. Judah leads the return. The beginning of our identity, language, and covenant is being restored, even while the nations rage and fall. So yes, the beginning and the end are happening together. This is why the wise must prepare, not just physically but spiritually. Your home must become your ark. Your altar must be restored. Your household must be sanctified. Because the same way that Yahuwah judged Egypt with darkness, he gave light to his people in Goshen. The shift will not catch the watchful off guard. The end of Babylon is the beginning of Israel's return. The fall of carnal kingdoms is the rise of the Eternal One. And what the world sees as ruin, the remnant sees as redemption. This is the great shift, and Yahuwah is the one doing it. I want to mention something else. Just as ancient Israel placed the blood of the Lamb on their doorposts to be spared from destruction, we too must have the blood covering of Yahushua over our homes, and which I call your spiritual ark. In Exodus 12, it was obedience to Yah's instructions and the blood that caused the destroyer to pass over. That was not just history, it was prophecy in motion. The home became the place of covering, the door became the altar, and the blood became the seal. Likewise, in these last days, while judgment sweeps through this earth, it will be those who have the blood of the true Lamb, Yahushua, covering their households, who will be spared. Spared by covenant, by obedience and faith. Your home must be sealed in prayer, in righteousness, and in truth. That is your ark, that is your Goshen, and that is your Passover. I have people who have shared that they don't understand this spiritual concept because they think I'm literally saying that your home is going to save you. But our ancient ancestors weren't saved by their homes. They were saved by obedience. When they put the blood of the Lamb on their doorpost, it caused the Most High to pass over their homes. If Yahushua was to return today, the majority of us would not be in temples or assemblies. We would be in our homes. That alone reveals the importance of treating your dwelling as sacred. Your home must be more than just where you sleep. It must become a place of refuge, a sanctuary, and an altar. In Exodus, Yahuwah passed through Egypt while his people remained inside, under the covering of the blood. The command wasn't to flee, but to stay in place, under his instruction, behind closed doors, covered and believing. This is why in these last days, your home must be set apart, anointed, watched over, cleansed from defilement. It must be a place where the Ruach HaKodesh can dwell freely, where prayers rise like incense, and where Yahushua's blood is spiritually applied over your doorpost. Because when he returns, he's not coming to walk through buildings made by men. He's coming to gather those who have prepared their hearts, homes, and households in righteousness. We are now living in a time what can only be called a divine overlap, a prophetic moment where two realities are colliding, the end of what was and the beginning of what shall be. And this overlap is not happening in temples or nations alone. It's happening right where we live. Our homes are ground zero for the shift, not because they are physically impressive, but because they are spiritually important. It's in the place where we dwell daily, where we rise, eat, teach our children, and seek Yah. It's not about just preparing for judgment. It's about preparing for visitation. The same way Yah moved through Egypt, separating his people with a distinction, he is again moving through the earth. Your dwellings is no longer just a shelter, it's a prophetic container. It holds the choice between Egypt and Goshen, between chaos and covering. In this moment of overlapping times, your house becomes a doorway between what is passing away and what is being birthed. The end of carnal order is giving way to the spiritual one. The former rain and the latter rain are meeting. Yah is shaking what can be shaken, not only in the nations, but in every room, every heart, and every stronghold that we've allowed to remain in our homes. So the question is no longer, are we near the end? The real question is, have we prepared for the beginning that follows it? We often speak of the second Exodus, but forgot that the Exodus began with instructions in the home. Before a nation moved, a house had to be ready. Before deliverance came, the door had to be marked. Before a journey began, the table had to be set in haste. Likewise, this is not just a season to observe prophetic signs outside. It's a call to take action inside. It is in your dwelling where obedience will make the difference between remembrance and regret. Yah is not waiting for a perfect building. He's waiting for a prepared people. And he will pass through again, not with physical footsteps, but with a divine inspection. And many will miss him, not because they didn't believe, but because they didn't prepare. The end is near, but so is the beginning. And those who understand the times will not only survive the end, but they will also step into the beginning. You see, we're not just living through a historic moment. We are standing inside a prophetic threshold, where the end of the age and the beginning of another are colliding right in front of our eyes. And the overlap is not metaphorical. It is manifesting spiritually, politically, socially, and personally. The rise in lawlessness, the confusion in nations, the spiritual awakening of Yah's people, all of it is evidence that the old world is fading and the righteous kingdom is being revealed. But here's the weight of it all. If you're not prepared for what's beginning, you won't survive what is ending. You cannot hold on to Egypt while trying to enter the promised land. You cannot serve Babylon and expect to escape her plagues. Just like Lot had to flee from Sodom and Noah had to enter the ark, we must position ourselves for deliverance, not just physically, but spiritually. This is where many will stumble. They are watching for the end, but they are not preparing for the beginning. They are looking for escape, but not restoration. But Yahuwah does not do incomplete work. When he ends a thing, he begins something greater. And that greater is being birthed in the homes of the obedient, in the hearts of the humble, and in the lives of those who are fully surrendered. This is the hour of distinction. And this overlap will expose everything. It will reveal who truly applied the blood and who only spoke his name. It will reveal which homes are full of light and which dwell in darkness. The door is still open, but not for long. Just like when Yahuwah sealed the ark himself, there will come a moment when time folds completely, and there will be no turning back. So prepare your house. Sanctify your dwelling. Sanctify your hearts. Speak the word in every room. Anoint your doorpost. Remove idols, secret sins, and distractions. Raise your children in truth. Build your altar again. Worship until the walls tremble, because what is coming is not just an ending, it's a new beginning. And only those who dwell in the presence of the Most High will cross through the threshold of the great shift and step into the kingdom rising. This is not fear, this is faith. And it's not panic, it's prophecy. The end is here, so is the beginning. Which side of the shift will your household stand on? Let's read Isaiah 38:1. It reads, "In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death, and Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos, came unto him, and said unto him, Thus said Yahuwah, Set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live." This wasn't about Hezekiah just preparing to die. It was a divine wake-up call to align his personal life and his household with the will of Yah before a major shift. Today, we're in that same position, not just individually, but collectively as a people. The Most High is calling his remnant to set their houses in order, not only their physical space, but their spiritual atmosphere, their family structure, and their covenant walk. Because just like in Hezekiah's time, a line has been drawn, and what comes next will depend on our response. Hezekiah turned to the wall, wept and prayed, and Yah added 15 years to his life. That's because repentance and obedience can shift the outcome. Likewise, our preparation today can determine how we pass through this outcome. And this ties directly to the message today of the Great Shift, that the end and the beginning are unfolding at the same time. Before Israel left Egypt, they had to get their houses in order, marking the doors, preparing the meal, and following every instruction. It wasn't optional. It was a difference between life and death, between bondage and freedom. The same principle applies now. While judgment sweeps this earth, those who have set their houses in order, covered in the blood of Yahusha, cleansed of defilement, and aligned with Yahuwah in covenant, will find themselves not only spared, but positioned for the new beginning. This moment is not about escape, it's about transition. It's about crossing from one age into another, and from one kingdom into another kingdom. And Yah is not checking these religious buildings, these religious establishments, like these church houses. He's inspecting homes. And just as Noah prepared an ark to the saving of his house, we must do the same. The message is clear before the trumpet sounds, before the door closes. Set your house in order, because the end is not just the ending. It is also the beginning of the reign of righteousness. And your home must be ready. Yahushua is not coming to walk through and gather his people from these temples, mega churches, cathedrals, or these religious institutions. These are places that people often associate with holiness or worship because of the structure. People may go to these buildings but live completely unrighteously when they leave. The building may look sacred on the outside, but Yahuwah is not impressed with architecture. He's looking for true obedience and covenant living. And as far as your home, it's not just where you live physically, but how you live, your private walk, your family structure, your atmosphere, and your heart. In Scripture, the house is often symbolic to a person's spiritual life or family unit. Like in Joshua 24:15, where it says, "As for me and my house, we will serve Yahuwah." So when we say Yah is inspecting homes, it means he is looking at how we live behind closed doors, not just where we go and gather for worship. So Yahuwah is not concerned with fancy church buildings or outer religion. He's concerned with the hearts and houses of his people, what's happening in their homes, their families, their daily lives. He wants a sanctified home, not just stained glass buildings. So family, we are living in a time unlike any other. A time when the end is not simply a closing, but a doorway to the beginning of Yah's kingdom reign. While the world sees chaos, the remnant sees prophecy being fulfilled. This is the great shift, where judgment and restoration move side by side, where Babylon falls and Zion rises, and where the distinction between those who serve Yah and those who do not becomes undeniable. But as this shift unfolds, Yah is not looking for performance, he's looking for preparation. He's not inspecting fancy buildings made with brick and stone. He is searching the homes and the hearts of his people. Now is the time to get your house in order, sanctify your dwellings, cover it in prayer, and apply the blood of Yahusha to every area of your life. Your home is your ark, your obedience is your seal, and your faith is the key that will carry you through what is ending and into what is beginning. Don't wait until the door is shut. Don't wait until the storm is upon you. Just like Noah, just like the children of Israel, and just like Hezekiah. Respond now, because Yah is not only ending this present age, He is preparing to begin again with those who are ready. Will your house be counted worthy to stand in the beginning that follows the end? Prepare now. The shift is already here. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for your continued support. May the Most High bless you and keep your family safe in this hour. And remember Matthew 24:13, He that endures unto the end, the same shall be saved. And until my next video, family, Shalom.